Hello friends, hope you are doing good. Welcome back to my channel, and in this video session we are going to discuss about the introduction to the development of gastrointestinal tract, also known as the alimentary system. What it is? This alimentary system extends from the oral cavity to the anal canal, having different structural and functional divisions throughout its course from oral cavity to anal canal. Not only structural and functional differences, although also some congenital anomalies during the development. That's why the development of gastrointestinal tract is very important. Let us see what is the importance of knowing this development of gastrointestinal tract. It is important because it has several anomalies during development. You can see here, this is a tracheoesophageal fistula. You can see the pyloric stenosis and duodenal atresia, umbilical hernia, and the Hirschsprung disease or congenital megacolon. So these are results of errors in the developmental process of the gastrointestinal tract. So here we are trying to understand how this gastrointestinal tract develops. What is the source of this gastrointestinal tract development? So let us see under following headings. First we will see folding of embryo. This folding of embryo is really important, which converts the flat trilaminar germ disc, which is pear shaped, into a cylindrical embryo, giving the contour to the embryo. Then we will see the formation of primitive gut tube. The entire GAT is developed from this primitive gut tube. So it is very important to see how it is formed. And organization of the primitive gut tube. As you already know, the gut tube has 4 layers from inside to outside: mucosa, submucosa, muscular layer, and serosa, or in some places adventitia. Then divisions of this definitive gut tube. First it is primitive gut tube, then it becomes definitive gut tube, and how it is divided into different parts depending upon the structure and their arterial supply. Then what are the developmental products of each division of the definitive gut tube we are going to see in this session. So first, beginning with the folding of embryo. What is this folding of embryo? So as you all know, during the first week after the fertilization there will be formation of zygote, cleavage, and there will be formation of blastocysts, followed by the implantation in the second week, and there will be formation of a inner cell mass and outer peripheral layer called as a trophoblast. The inner cell mass will differentiate into a bilaminar germ disc that you can see here, bilaminar germ disc, that is upper layer and a lower layer, epiblast and hypoblast, and then it will differentiate to form the 3 germ layers, that is called as gastrulation. So after the gastrulation, you can see here, you can see this is in the upper sagittal section, you can see there will be formation of 3 layers, ectoderm, mesoderm, and a lower endoderm, and there will be 2 cavities, amniotic cavity and yolk sac cavity here, and you can see that in the coronal section here, and you can see this is a coronal section. This is the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. There will be formation of the primitive streak, which is the organizer, primary organizer, which initiates the development of central nervous system, and there will be folding of embryo. Why? Because the flat trilaminar disc folds into somewhat cylindrical embryo. So to provide a contour to the embryo, so that flat pear shaped trilaminar disc is converted into a cylindrical embryo. So it results from the rapid growth of the embryo, especially there will be formation of CNS and other system. So because of the rapid growth of somates also, there will be head folding, tail folding, and lateral folding. And the long axis increase rapidly than the side, that is the head fold and the tail fold will be formed first, and it will increase rapidly rather than the lateral foldings, and occur simultaneously on the both the axes, and there will be constriction at the junction of embryo and yolk sac. If you see here, during the development, you will see the 3 germ layers that you can see here in the sagittal section. How do you see? So there will be, this will be like this, and above you have the amniotic cavity here. This is the amniotic cavity that will be formed there, and below there will be yolk sac cavity like this. There will be formation of the yolk sac cavity, and there will be developing CNS with 3 brain vesicles, and there will be pericardial plate and a cardiogenic area will be there. This is the cardiogenic area, and there will be a septum transversum here. So this is the coronal, or you can say sagittal section of the developing embryo, having the 3 germ layers, and you can see the developing notochord over there. So this is the amniotic cavity, yolk sac cavity, this is septum transversum, this is notochord, and here there will be formation of the buccopharyngeal membrane, and here you will have the cloacal membrane. So buccopharyngeal membrane is involved in the formation of oral cavity, cloacal membrane is involved in the formation of the anal canal and anal aperture. So during this phase there will be folding, head folding, tail folding, and also lateral folding. So the flat trilaminar germ disc is converted into a cylindrical embryo. That is the purpose of this folding, and this folding happens due to what? Due to rapid growth of central nervous system. There will be head fold first, then tail fold, and simultaneously there will be lateral folding due to rapid enlargement of the somites. So this all happens, and the folding happens by the end of the 3rd week and completed by the 4th week. You can see here on the left side you are seeing the sagittal section, on the right side you are seeing the coronal section. Here you are seeing the lateral folding here you are seeing the tail fold and head fold and tail fold. You can see this is the lateral folding due to rapid enlargement of the somites, and you can see this is how it appears during the folding. And folding of embryo is due to rapid growth, especially the nervous system and the ectoderm. The head fold is occurring first, then followed by the tail fold, and at the same times there will be lateral folding. So after the folding, how it looks, so because of the head fold and tail fold, you can see there will be formation like this. So there will be tremendous enlargement in the amniotic cavity there. You can see the amniotic cavity is enlarged. This is how you will see, like this, and there will be formation of this central nervous system. So forebrain vesicle will come here, midbrain and hindbrain, and there will be developing spinal cord with the notochord as the primary organizer. Then you will see the yolk sac cavity. The yolk sac cavity is involved. It is taken inside the cylindrical embryo. It forms a part of the developing embryo. You can see this yolk sac cavity is here, and here there will be formation of buccopharyngeal membrane will be here, and the cloacal membrane will be formed here, and the allantoic diverticulum that you have seen will come here, the allantoic diverticulum. So here is the formation of the primitive gut tube. the primitive gut tube. Because of the folding, head fold, tail fold and lateral to lateral side folds, the amniotic cavity is enlarged in size, and here comes the cardiogenic plate. Septum transversal will be here, and there will be formation of the cardiogenic plate, pericardial sac. Cardiogenic plate will be here. So they were here during before the folding, they were here, but because of the head fold they come here, and this allantoic diverticulum and constrictor will be here before folding, but they will come here because of the tail fold. So the flat trilemma disc is converted into a cylindrical embryo. Because of this head folding and tail folding, there will be displacement in the position of this septum transversum, buccopharyngeal membrane, and you can see this pericardial sac, cardiogenic plate, and this allantoic diverticulum, and there will be formation of cloacal membrane here. So all these happens because of the folding. And you can see here in the pictures, you can see the head fold, tail fold. You can notice there, this is the sagittal section and this is the coronal section, and you can see here the two lateral folds. So this yolk sac cavity is greatly reduced in size, whereas amniotic cavity is enlarged, and these two lateral folds meet ventrally, forming the ventral abdominal wall. You can see here they will go like this, and yolk sac cavity is now inside the embryo, cylindrical embryo, forming the part of the GIT. It forms a GIT. You can see foregut, midgut and hindgut. This entire thing will be primitive gut tube. This is primitive gut tube. You can see this is the sequence of the head and tail fold. This is in the sagittal section and this is in the coronal section. What you are seeing here, the entire folding will happen here. And what happens because of the folding? The amniotic cavity is enlarged, yolk sac cavity is reduced, smaller, and divided into intraembryonic yolk sac and extraembryonic yolk sac connected by stalk, and allantois and connecting stalk shifted caudally and ventrally. Septum transversum is shifted anterior to cardiogenic plate. So this happens because of these changes happening because of the head fold, tail fold and lateral folds that you see. These are the results of the folding. Remember, amniotic cavity is enlarged and the entire embryo will float in that now. Amniotic fluid, allantois and connecting stalk shifted ventrally and forms the umbilical cord, which contains the extraembryonic yolk sac, that is umbilical vesicle and stalk. And septum transversum is shifted caudal to cardiogenic plate, forming this fibrous pericardium and other things. Placenta will face the umbilical cord now. So because of this folding, the yolk sac is inside the embryo now, that is intraembryonic yolk sac. Now you can see here, this entire thing is intraembryonic yolk sac, this is extraembryonic yolk sac. Now it's called as umbilical vesicle, that you can see there. So this happens because of the folding. Next you can see here, so this is the lateral folding. What you are seeing here, you are noticing the lateral folding there, and this is the tail fold. You can see how it is happening. And you can see cloacal membrane and buccopharyngeal membranes are formed, and there will be formation of a primitive gut tube. The primitive gut tube is formed from the endoderm lining the dorsal part of the yolk sac, which is enveloped by the developing coelom as a result of the head and tail folding. And this primitive gut is now differentiated into definitive gut tube. You can see here foregut, midgut and hindgut. And the craniocaudal and lateral folding cause the opening of gut tube to the yolk sac, and it is draw closed, forming a pocket towards the head end called as anterior intestinal portal, that is junction between foregut and midgut. and a posterior intestinal portal called as the junction between the midgut and hindgut, and they form the foregut, midgut and hindgut, whereas foregut and hindgut are enclosed, whereas the midgut is open to the yolk sac via vitalointestinal duct. You can see there the yolk stalk is there. Further folding and growth of the embryo causes communication of the gut with the yolk sac to continue to get smaller, and the regions of the gut become more defined. So here you can see the three germinal. You are seeing the sagittal section of the trilaminar embryonic disc. Now if you see in the coronal section here, the blue color is ectoderm, the red color is mesoderm, and yellow color is endoderm. You can see there with the notochord developing there. And what happens because of the folding? This is the lateral folding. You can see the blue shaped amniotic cavity is getting enlarged in the size, whereas yolk sac will be reduced in size because of the folding. Why this folding happens? To convert the flat trilaminar disc into a cylindrical embryo, to provide a contour to the embryo. So because of this folding, lateral folding, you can see the two lateral folds converge ventrally and fuse, so that the yolk sac cavity, which is divided into intraembryonic and extraembryonic, now it is completely obscured, and you can see this umbilical vesicle there, and in this sagittal plane and in this coronal plane you can see how this folding will happen. So the folding starts around the end of the third week and finished by the fourth week. You can see there will be differentiation in each layer. The ectoderm will differentiate, the mesoderm will differentiate, and endoderm, that is the dorsal part of the yolk sac, is involved in the formation of the developing primitive gut tube. And you can see the two lateral folds unite, and that the somatofluidic layer covers the body wall, and a splanchnopleurotic layer will cover the visceral surfaces. So how it happens in sagittal plane? You are seeing the head fold and tail fold here. You can notice the septum transversum is there in the red color, buccopharyngeal membrane will be there, amniotic cavity, allantois and connecting stalk, the neural fold which is forming the three brain vesicles there. And because of the head and tail fold, this is how it happens. The yolk sac cavity is now enclosed into this cylindrical embryo. You can see septum transversum is coming down, the buccopharyngeal membrane moves up, and pericardial sac is there, and this allantoic diverticulum comes ventrally and caudally, forming the urachus there. You can see the further folding will push the yolk sac into this developing embryo forming here, and this primitive gut tube will organized into the foregut, midgut and hindgut, that will discuss. And coming to the layers, how the layers of the primitive gut tube are formed. So there will be different germinal contributions to the four layers. The endoderm will form the mucosa, mucosal epithelium, mucosal glands and submucosal glands of the GI tract, and mesoderm will form the lamina propria, muscularis mucosa, submucosal connective tissue, blood vessels, muscularis externa, serosa or adventitia, and neural crest cells are involved in the formation of the neurons and nerves of the submucosal and myenteric plexus, and there will be formation of the craniocaudal patterning under the influence of the Hox gene expression. So the specific regions of the gut tube, that is which region will form the entire respiratory system and which region will form the esophagus and stomach, and important junctions are established by the cranial to caudal patterning of the segmental and combinatorial codes of the Hox gene expression in the endoderm and mesoderm of the early embryo, and radial patterning, that is the layers, formation of layers, mucosa, submucosa, muscular and serosal layers, is by the expression of the sonic hedgehog genes in the endoderm, which inhibits the smooth muscle and neuronal differentiation close to endoderm. So further away from the endoderm, SHH concentration is low, thus permitting the formation of the muscular layer and formation of the muscularis externa there in the radial pattern. And after this craniocaudal and radial patterning of the gut tube, there will be a cannulation of the gut tube. The growth and expansion of the mesoderm components in the wall is coupled with the apoptosis of some of the endoderm around the 7th week, which will cause recannulation, such that by the end of the 9th week, lumen is open again. So what happens here? This occlusion and recannulation process occurs throughout the tube, that is from the esophagus to anal canal, and errors in this process can occur anywhere, leading to the stenosis or atresia. You can see there in this picture, on the extreme left side you are seeing the hollow gut tube during development. Then what happens? There will be, because of the endodermal proliferation, there will be luminal occlusion, and in the third pic from the left side you can see the recanalization, leading to the formation of the circular folds or the folds of the GIT, which may be temporary and permanent foldings. So the adult patterning of the GIT will happen by this occlusion and recanalization. If there is any error in this recanalization occlusion, it will lead to stenosis or atresia that we have discussed during the introductory session of this video. I have shown you pyloric stenosis, duodenal atresia, fistulas. Those all happen because of the errors in occlusion and recanalization. And now after this formation of the primitive gut tube and organization of the primitive gut tube, now we are going to see the divisions of the definitive gut tube, that is depending upon the based on the arterial supply. Foregut derivatives in the abdomen are supplied by the branch of celiac artery, whereas midgut derivatives are supplied by the superior mesenteric artery. Hindgut derivatives are supplied by the inferior mesenteric artery. So celiac artery is the artery of foregut, superior mesenteric artery is the artery of midgut, inferior mesenteric artery is the artery of the hindgut. So you can see here, celiac artery is supplying the derivatives of the foregut, superior mesenteric artery will be supplying the derivatives of the midgut, and inferior mesenteric artery will supply the derivatives of the hindgut. So what are the derivatives of these individual subdivisions of the definitive gut tube now? First we will see definitive derivatives of the foregut: trachea and respiratory tract, lungs, esophagus, stomach, liver, gallbladder and bile ducts, pancreas, and upper part of the duodenum, that is the first part of duodenum and second part of the duodenum till the opening of the common bile duct. You can see there esophagus, stomach, duodenum, liver, pancreas. Even though spleen is derived from the foregut, it is not a true derivative of foregut because it is derived from the mesenchymal condensation, but it is still supplied by the sphenic artery, which is a branch of the celiac artery or celiac trunk. So you can remember, spleen is also derived from the foregut, but not from the endoderm of the foregut. It is derived from the mesenchymal condensation. So it is not directly derived from the foregut, but it has the blood supply from the artery of the foregut. Then derivatives of the midgut: lower duodenum, jejunum, ileum, cecum, appendix, ascending colon. Then the proximal 2/3 of the transverse colon are derived from the midgut, and they are all supplied by the which artery? Superior mesenteric artery. It is the artery of the midgut. You can see there the remaining part, lower half of the second part of duodenum, third part, fourth part, jejunum, ileum, cecum, appendix, ascending colon, and right 2/3 of the transverse colon is derived from the midgut. And derivatives of the hindgut, the distal 2/3 of the or distal 1/3 of the transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, rectum, and upper part of the anal canal and urogenital sinus. Upper part of the anal canal and urogenital sinus are the part of the cloaca, that is the post-allantoic part of the hindgut. You can see there. So left 1/3 of the transverse colon, descending colon, rectum, and upper part of the anal canal, along with the urogenital sinus, which is involved in the development of the bladder and urethra, is derived from the hindgut. So hope this is clear to you how this GIT develops, and we have discussed about the source. It is derived from the endoderm. Of course, the lining is derived from the endoderm, the connective tissue is from the mesoderm, and in the nerve plexus are derived from the neural crest cells. So here the entire GIT is derived from all three germ layers, but the lining is derived from the endoderm. How the endoderm will go there? Because of the folding, head fold, tail fold, and lateral folds. Head fold and tail fold happen because of the rapid development of CNS, and lateral folding happens due to rapid growth of the somites. And why this folding happens? To convert the flat trilaminar germ disc into a cylindrical embryo, to provide a contour to the developing embryo, to provide a contour to the body, to form flat to cylindrical embryo. And because the consequence of this folding, the yolk sac is reduced, amniotic cavity is greatly enlarged, and a part of the yolk sac will be inside the embryo, forming the primitive gut tube, which will undergo cranial to caudal patterning and radial patterning, and undergoes division, foregut, midgut and hindgut. Foregut and midguts are involved in the head fold and tail fold respectively. Midgut is communicated with the extraembryonic yolk sac via vitalointestinal duct. So this all happens and they give rise to different derivatives. So this is in brief about the development of the GIT. In the coming session we will see the different derivatives of the foregut, midgut and hindgut in detail. Okay, so you can see here foregut is separated from the stomodium by the buccopharyngeal membrane. The hindgut is separated from the porcoidium by the cloacal membrane. Midgut is connected to defined yolk sac by the vitalointestinal duct. So you can see here buccopharyngeal membrane and cloacal membrane. So this is in brief about the introduction to the development of GIT. We will see more in coming sessions. Thank you.